What's up, guys? My name is JD. I'm a 40-year-old hybrid athlete. I use calisthenics, weightlifting, and running as my primary modalities of training. Today, we're gonna go over the 3 worst exercises for men 40 and over. I'm gonna jump straight into this, and I wanna make this video as quick as possible. Topping the list is bench press. Now, I know a lot of people might get upset with this one. I know bench press is a favorite exercise of many of you out there, and in my opinion, it's the ego lift of all ego lifts. It doesn't give you the most bang for the buck. At 40 years old, we're looking to get the most bang for the buck. Which exercise is going to be the most minimalistic to set up? Which exercise is going to have the least chance of injury? And which exercise is actually going to give us the gains that we're looking for? So we want the physique. We want to keep our joints and our body healthy. And to be honest with you, we want to keep a level of mobility as well. The bench press is a high risk to reward exercise. It puts a lot of strain on the shoulders. The heavier that you go on the bench press, the easier it is to get injured. And, lastly, when it comes down to that, if you're going super heavy on the bench press, you actually need a spotter. So, for those of us who are 40 years old, time is of the essence. We don't have an abundance of time, and we, might not have a workout partner. So having all of these different elements, a bench press setup, setting up the bench press, re-racking weights, finding somebody to be a spotter. This is just something that's just not optimal for a man who's 40 years old or older than 40 years old at that. So what are some exercises that you can substitute in place of the bench press? I'd say number 1 is push-ups. Push-ups is an easy body weight exercise that can develop your chest, in my opinion, much better than the bench press, is much safer than the bench press. And it's something that you can do from anywhere. You can do push-ups from home. You can do push-ups when you're at work. You can do push-ups when you're taking a stroll through the park with your kids. Push-ups is a great exercise. That will probably be the number 1 replacement. Now, if you're looking to gain some strength, you can actually do some weighted push-ups. But the number 2 exercise, which is another exercise that you can do either body weight or adding weight, is going to be dips. You can either do a higher volume of dips, which is going to give you more range of motion in a bench press, or you can do some weighted dips. Weighted dips you have to be a little bit careful with as well, because the injury risk when you start doing weighted dips is much higher than if you're just doing them body weight. But again, dips are going to be a great bench press alternative because it's going to develop the chest, and it's actually going to develop your core and your triceps a little bit more as well. That's number 1 on the list is bench press. Let's move straight into number 2 on the list. Number 2 on the list is going to be a conventional deadlift. Conventional deadlifts to me is the exercise that probably has the most risk with the lowest reward. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, is deadlifting functional? It's a very functional exercise, because when it comes down to our everyday life, a lot of times we do have to pick things up and put things down. And that's essentially what the conventional deadlift is. The conventional deadlift is an extreme with that. You're lifting something super heavy from a very low place on the floor. And, it's just a dangerous exercise for your back. It's as simple as that. Now, what exercises would I use as a replacement for the conventional deadlift? I'm a personal trainer, and one of the exercises that I use with most of my clients is going to be the hex bar deadlift. The hex bar deadlift, number 1, it kind of almost forces you to have better form, because you're kind of locked in and your hands are in that neutral grip, and you're squatting into that deadlift position more than you are hinging over into that deadlift position. So the hex bar deadlift is going to be a lot safer, and you have less ground to cover, less distance from the bars to the top position of that movement. So hex deadlift is a lot safer, lower barrier to entry, and you can, this is a movement that's safe for people of all ages. I have clients in their 70s, even a client in his 80s doing hex bar deadlifts. Of course, we're not doing a ton of weight, but as long as you lock that form in, the hex bar deadlift is a much better exercise. And another exercise that you might want to think about doing in place of a conventional deadlift is going to be good mornings. Good mornings is a great exercise. For me personally, that's the exercise, that's the hinge movement that I like the most. And the reason why I like the good morning is because it translates to calisthenics a little bit better. I'm a huge calisthenics enthusiast, so the good morning is going to be a lot better for that. You do need to be careful about how heavy you go on the good morning, but the good morning is also something that can be done with a resistance band. It can also be done seated. Good morning is going to be another great exercise that stimulates the hamstrings, glutes, lower back. It's going to be something that really strengthens that posterior chain. Now, the third exercise on this list is going to be back squats. Now, you guys are probably thinking to yourself, this guy just listed literally all of the powerlifting movements. Yeah, all of the powerlifting movements are the movements that I don't really think guys who are 40 plus should be doing. Unless you are a competitive powerlifter, I don't really think people who are 40 and over should be practicing powerlifting movements. Another reason why I am not a huge fan of powerlifting movements, and this is no disrespect to powerlifters, but if you check out the average powerlifter, their physique is not very impressive. Powerlifting gives you that blocky physique, and it really emphasizes having a lot of strength in your trunk, which is going to give you that thicker, stockier trunk. Now, for myself and for a lot of people that I train, most people who come in to train with me, personal training wise, they're looking for more of a leaner athletic physique. Powerlifting is not going to give you that leaner athletic physique. And on top of that, it's also going to give you a high risk of injury. And a back squat is no different than the rest of these movements. I think squats are extremely functional. One of the most functional movements that you can do. I just think that putting that barbell on your back is something that is a little bit too dangerous for the average person. Now, another thing that you have to think about when it comes down to back squatting is how to bail out of a back squat. It's a very difficult movement to bail out of. So there's a high risk of seriously injuring yourself. People have even died doing heavy back squats. Now, what are alternatives to heavy back squats? Cossack squats. Put 2 kettlebells front racked. Cossack squats are great. That's probably my favorite version of the squat. You can do front squats if you do like doing squats with a barbell. Much safer, less hinge. When I front squat, I notice I get a lot more depth. I feel a lot more upright. I don't have to hinge as much. And the most dangerous aspect of a squat is when you're hinging with a lot of load on your back. Now, another variation, and probably the most beginner friendly variation, is going to be the goblet squat. That's when you can have a dumbbell or a kettlebell front racked as well. That's a great variation. Or you can just do body weight squats. There's plenty of people out there who have defined legs and they purely train with body weight squats. Now, if you guys have any exercises that you feel like I missed that are suboptimal for men who are 40 years old and older, please leave those in the comment section below. Also, if you guys disagree with my list, please comment in the comment section below and give me your reasons why you think squat, bench, and deadlift are good exercises for men 40 plus. But anyways, guys, if you guys found any value from this video, go ahead and leave me a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in my hybrid training approach. I'm also coming out with a hybrid training program, a 12-week program for men who are 40 years old. If you guys are interested in getting on the waiting list for that program, go ahead and comment hybrid in the comment section below. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. I'll holler at you guys later.